There has been no shortage of things to write about lately. Emotions are high and people are stressed. The perfect ingredients for inspiring songs. But if you want your pandemic-inspired songs to stand out from the crowd, let alone make a positive impact on the world, I've got some suggestions for you. Hi, I'm Brian from Unmute Your Muse TV, where we teach 5-minute masterclasses for songwriters. We use the Gold Song Solution to help you write the kinds of songs that people will love, buy, and tell their friends about. This week's main takeaway is, you can't say everything all at once, so pick something specific that you want to convey and choose a concrete way to say it. I spent a fair bit of time poking around in Facebook groups for songwriters, and in the last few weeks, I've seen literally dozens of songs written directly in response to the coronavirus pandemic. And that totally makes sense. Emotions are running high, passionate opinions are being discussed, and lives are literally at stake. And the natural response for many of us when faced with a stressful situation like this is to write a song about it. And this is a beautiful thing. Writing can be an extremely therapeutic exercise. It allows us to think through and process some of the complex emotions that we've been having. And it can be an extremely healthy process for you as an individual. But unlike other healthy self-care activities, songwriting has one other extremely important bonus. When you are done, you have something to show for it. You have a song. And being that everybody in the world is trying to process similar kinds of stresses right now, the fact that the songwriting process helped you work through some of your own thoughts and feelings means that there's a very good chance that your song will also be able to help other people work through their own thoughts and feelings too. Honestly, I think that's one of the main reasons that many of us got into songwriting in the first place, to give voice to our inner thoughts and feelings, and to help other people do the same. Now, let's talk about coronavirus-inspired songs in particular. And like I said, I've heard literally dozens of songs inspired by the current situation in the last few weeks. And the vast majority of them fall into one of two categories. First up is what I would like to call the screaming out our frustration songs. We're overwhelmed with feelings, with information, with stress, and so many of these things are out of the ordinary that it's only natural to try and vent some of that frustration in the form of a song. So you might hear a song that jumbles together ideas like, people can't work, grandma's on a ventilator, the government is incompetent, young people won't wear masks, conservatives all think it's a hoax, and when the hell will life go back to normal? All crammed into a few highly emotional lines. Now, this is the kind of writing that has some very clear strengths. It conveys in a very visceral way what we're all feeling right now. Overwhelm, distraction, our attention getting pulled in lots of different directions. So it provides a sort of steam valve for our overflowing emotions, and that can be a really good thing. Now, the other main category of songs that I've been hearing are what I would like to call let's all stay together songs. These are songs that may also lift some of the frustrations that people are feeling, but they end up calling for general unity as a response to the trouble. Let's all come together and be better humans. And this is also a great sentiment and one that carries a lot of weight right now. But like I said, both of these kinds of songs are appropriate right now, and there's a good chance that you've written one or two that would generally fit into one of these two categories. I know that I have. But there is a weakness that tends to accompany both of those types of songs. They tend to be a little hard for a listener to really latch onto in any specific sort of way. If a song contains a lot of vague sentiments about being frustrated or general admonitions for humanity to pull together, it can end up just being part of the background noise. We're overwhelmed with thoughts like these to spend 5 minutes on any kind of social media. And like I said, there is definitely a need for these songs, but those aren't the only kinds of songs that you can write these days. Here's what I would like to see a little bit more of. I'd like to see more songs that offer concrete, specific examples of what life is like right now. Stories and characters that give the listener something to latch onto. Songs that convey the same kinds of emotion, but which can be even more powerful because they get more specific. When we tell these kinds of stories, it allows the listener to put themselves in someone else's shoes, which is going to end up with a more powerful and meaningful, let's all come together kind of feeling in the end anyway. Now would be a great time to do a character-based story song. And if that's something you've never done before, let me walk you through the basics. It's really quite a lot of fun and can have some very powerful results. First off, pick a character who has been impacted by the virus in some way, which honestly could be anybody, anywhere, so feel free to be creative here. You could pick one of the more obvious character types, but you might want to throw in a little bit of a twist just to keep things interesting. For example, you could write about a healthcare worker, but who chooses to stay and live in a trailer and not go home to see their family after work for fears of infecting them. Or you could write about a politician who originally downplayed the significance of the pandemic, but then ended up testing positive himself. Or maybe you could write about an old lady in a nursing home, but just to throw in a bigger twist, say that she had volunteered as a nurse, like way back in World War II when she was young, but then does one last act of heroism and voluntarily gives up her ventilator to a younger patient. Or you might try a less obvious type of character, maybe a waitress who was laid off and has no idea how she's going to pay next month's rent. Or maybe a migrant produce picker who continues to work even though he's starting to show symptoms. Or maybe a rural boy in a third world country who has little or no access to healthcare and is just trying to figure out why all the grown-ups are acting funny right now. It could literally be anybody. Now, once you've picked a character, do some prose writing. Grab a journal and write about the life of your character. And be specific. Put yourself in their shoes. What are they feeling? What are they seeing, hearing, smelling, touching? What are they thinking about? Now, if you've taken one of our Liberated Lyrics courses, you've got a lot of experience with this kind of stuff. And finally, once you've fleshed out some of the details about your character and their story, you'll need to decide upon a central theme for the song. Try and discern what the most important thing for your character is at the moment. What's their core struggle? What are their hopes? What are their fears? Try and nail that down as clearly as possible. And that becomes the theme for your chorus. Then you can craft verses around that theme that use some of the concrete words and ideas that you came up during your prose writing time. And again, character-based story songs convey the same kinds of emotions, but can be even more powerful because they give a listener something more concrete to latch onto, something more specific. So even if a listener is not a healthcare worker themselves, they are able to enter into the world of a well-written story song that features a healthcare worker. They can feel what the character feels and imagine what it's like to be in their shoes. And in the end, if you do it right, your listener can still walk away with a very powerful and meaningful, let's all come together kind of feeling anyway. So, just to recap, our main takeaway this week is you can't say everything all at once. So pick something specific that you want to convey and choose a concrete way to say it. Now, if you've written a pandemic-inspired song, or if you decide to follow my suggestion from this video and do a character-driven story song about it, then please hop into our Facebook group, the Unstuck Songwriters Society. There's a link in the description box below. We're an incredibly supportive community, and there are lots of people there willing to give you some helpful feedback on your songs. All right, everybody, stay safe, do your best, keep writing.